In 2012, and this is before BattleBots came back, I was approached by a producer for a television show for Discovery called Top Engineer. And they were going to do a pilot for this show. They were going to start getting people involved to be on the show. And they wanted a video from me explaining some of my background and why I do the things I do. So it was kind of cool because, yeah, obviously they didn't know me from BattleBots. They knew me from going to Robo Games and Combots and other events, building combat robots. And they thought I would have been a good fit for this particular show. Unfortunately, the show itself just kind of never happened. I think they did the pilot, but they never actually got into production. And so I never got involved actually with the show, which is too bad. I think it could have been kind of fun. But this is my application video for this show. And it's kind of interesting to see my, I don't know, energy and enthusiasm for the sport in general going back a few years. Like I said, this is 2012, so this goes back a ways. You can tell because my hair's a little browner at that time. Anyway, I just thought you guys might find this interesting, and so give it a watch.
My background's always been mechanical in nature. I started out really young. My dad was he was into go-kart racing. That was his hobby. And so at 4 or 5 years old, I'm going to these go-kart races, hanging out with my dad. So I was probably the only 5-year-old you'd ever come across and knew how to, change spark plugs, change cap spark plugs. Did that for a long time. That was kind of his passion, his thing. Got a little older, got into motorcycles, dirt bike racing. And so did a lot of mechanical work with the motorcycles. We'd strip them all the way down to the frame, rebuild them. This is pretty common through this era. And so I spent a lot of time with those early two-stroke racing engines and whatnot, both in the karts and then in the motorcycles. And then about the time I was 16, 17, and I started driving, well, obviously at that age you kind of get into cars. And so I was a guy that worked on pretty much everybody's car. I was the guy everybody went to get their car fixed. Through my high school years, I built 3 different V8 Vegas. Used to do a lot of motor swaps. I'd pull a big block Chevy out of something and put it in something else just because it would be a fun project to do. And I did that for a lot of years, and that eventually led into a job where I was a mechanic, and I worked for an outfit that dug water wells. And with water wells, you have a wider range of equipment. So you got small little like a horse, say a Honda generator motor, something like that, all the way up to V12, V-twin diesels. So very small equipment all the way up to very large equipment. And I was a mechanic, and I had to work on all of this stuff. So that was kind of my introduction into heavy equipment, so the larger things. Did that for probably 3 years, and I really loved the job. It was challenging. It had a lot of perks that weren't necessarily monetary related. I mean, I really enjoyed what it was I did. I had kind of the freedom to do whatever I wanted to on the job, but I needed to have a little more stable career. And so I got a job with the Department of Corrections. I was correctional officer at Folsom Prison for 13 years. And so this was a great, stable job, had a lot of good pay, benefits, and whatnot for my family. But eventually I ended up getting injured while on the job working for the Department of Corrections. And that ended up just kind of forcing me to retire. I was just not able to keep that particular job. Throughout all of this time, throughout my years working in the Department of Corrections, I was still a guy with lots of hobbies. I'm still a mechanical guy in nature, so I'd still be building cars and motorcycles and things of that nature. And I got into computers. And so when I was injured and forced to retire, one of the things that they did at the time was some voc rehabilitation training. And so I went to a school to get some certification for some of the computer skills I already had. And when I went to this adult college for this voc rehab training, after I'd completed the training, they pretty much wouldn't let me go. They ended up hiring me as an instructor for their computer networking courses. And I did that for about 3 years. before getting the job where I have now, which is at Intel Corporation in Folsom. Where I work now, we test flash memory products for some of the new products that Intel makes and sells. Most of the time, this is at component level. I actually have the memory chips that I'm working with. Occasionally, it's in packaged products, so flash drives, solid-state drives, things of that nature. But most of the testing I do is at a chip level, and we'll try various different stress tests to see how well the chip performs and holds its memory and whatnot. And it's funny because we have just hundreds of thousands of dollars of material that run through here that I'm testing, and we basically stress these parts until we destroy them. So none of this stuff ever gets sold. It's all just for engineering work. And so that's the majority of my background now. Is I had all of these years working with mechanical issues, which ended up working to where I am now today, working with the memory products that Intel Corporation makes and sells. Building and competing with these combat robots is an unbelievably exciting sport. I have so much fun with this. It's my hobby, my passion, the things that I enjoy spending my time with. And the part I like about it is it's just an even playing field. It doesn't matter who you are. You've got the same number of pounds to work with that anybody else does. And I've seen 8-year-old girls beat a guy with a doctorate in mechanical engineering, because it's not about who can design it better or who can machine it better. And sometimes it just comes down to blind luck, as most things in life do. But the proof is always in the arena. I mean, it's one of those things where you're all on the same level. Everybody's on the same playing field. And in fact, I really like it when we have mechanical engineers show up for these combat robot events, because invariably they have the idea that they're somehow better. They've got this mechanical engineering degree, so they're going to come in and they're just going to walk all over everybody. And I always find that just hilarious, because I've been doing this for a while and I'm really good at it, and I'm off the floor with them. So I mean, it's always funny to give a little humbling lesson to anybody who comes in with the idea that they're going to be just instantly good because of their engineering degree. It's a lot of fun. It swallows your time, all your money, like most good hobbies do, I suppose. But it's something I'm very passionate about. I really enjoy just the thrill of competing, and my level of focus at an event is so much higher than it is at any other point in my life. I really dive into these things, and that's part of what makes me win. Part of what makes me competitive is that you go in, you get this massive amount of damage, you get all these things that go wrong and break. You get it out of the arena. You've got half an hour to get all this stuff fixed, and it doesn't matter what you've got broken. You got to get it fixed in half an hour to get back in the arena. And I tend to thrive on that, the stress and the pressure in those situations, and it's a lot of fun. If you've never had the opportunity to see this kind of stuff live, video doesn't do it justice. You cannot get a sense of how much power is being unleashed just watching it on video. You've got to see it live. To see a 10-pound hunk of metal ripped off of another machine and slung at the glass at 200 miles an hour. You can watch that on video and go, yeah, that looks pretty impressive. But if you're sitting in the audience and that that piece of metal's coming at your head, suddenly it takes on a whole nother level of excitement. And it's just a hobby that's consumed me, and I really enjoy the competitive aspect of it. One of the reasons that I want to be involved with this, one of the reasons I want to be your top engineer, is the opportunity to show that somebody without a mechanical engineering degree, without an engineering degree of any type, can still be competitive, can still do as well as somebody with the full-on education. And I prove this over and over again with the machines that I build and compete with, because I compete with mechanical engineers, I compete with electrical engineers, and I routinely beat them. And it's about making stuff that works and that is going to be just awesome in what it does and can hold together better than the other guys. And when I build things, I tend to overbuild them. I make them stronger than they need to be, because you can't ever completely understand the forces that's going to be applied to it. So you can drive a tank over one of my combat robots. You could probably drop one of the suckers from orbit, and I don't think it would really harm it, because that's the nature of the violence that's going on here. So when I build something, I build it to make sure that it's going to work. It's those attention to details. That's what makes me do better in competition than the people that I compete with, is because I'm willing to go that extra mile to get those things done.
The producer that I was talking with for this particular show wanted me to stress the fact that I did not have an engineering degree competing in these engineering, competitions. So kind of focused on that a little bit in the video, because that's what they were asking for. And it is kind of cool that, I am able to compete in these engineering competitions. And no, I don't have a degree. I'm just a lifetime of experience, I guess. I was digging through an old hard drive, found some old videos, including this one, and I thought you guys might find it interesting, so I figured I'd share.